everybody, welcome to another Yarn Scrap Friday. We're going to do something a little bit different this week because I'm going to show you how to do the wavy stitch, but I'm not just going to show you how to do this particular wavy stitch, but I'm actually going to show you how to work it out as well. One of the biggest problems when trying to work out the wavy stitch is obviously the wavy stitch is worked with decreases and increases, but the problem with that is you need to make sure that you end up with the same amount of stitches after you've worked the stitch from when you actually started doing the stitches, and that can sometimes be a little bit complicated. So I'm going to show you how to work it out. Okay, so when working the wavy stitch, the first tip I would give you is when you're working into that first stitch, when you're doing your first proper stitch, is you want to work an increase. Okay, so you may be working into your second stitch from hook, you might be working in your third stitch from hook, you might be working your fourth stitch from hook, depending on whether you're doing a single crochet, a half double crochet, or a double crochet. So I'll just write that down. For a single crochet, this is in US terminology. Single crochet, you work into the second stitch from hook. With the half double crochet, you work in the third stitch from hook, and with the double crochet, you work into the fourth stitch from hook. So the very first thing to work out is in the first stitch you want to work into, this needs to be an increase, and of course the first stitch is going to be made up of your chains in your foundation row, so that might be made up of one stitch if you've worked in your second stitch from hook, because that would be your second stitch from hook. Then you might have two if you've worked into your third stitch from hook if you're doing half double crochets, or you might have three if you've worked into your fourth stitch from hook if you're doing double crochets. So let's assume that you're doing double crochets, and so far we then would have created 4 chains in our foundation row, so we've got 4 stitches to begin with, and this first increase here is going to be made up of a double crochet, and cross that out, it's going to be made up of those 3 as well. So that's given us an increase, and don't worry, I'll show you this in yarn form at the end as well. I just want to show you the basic maths behind doing the wavy stitch. Okay, so in our first stitch we've got our increase, okay, and so far if we're doing double crochets we've got 4 chains that we need to work. And because we've done an increase, that means we've now got an unequal amount of stitches, because in our foundation row we've got just the 1 there, but we've increased up to 2, so we've got more than when we started with. So we need to counteract that by doing a decrease. So over the next 2 chains we need to do a decrease. Okay, so we've got over the next 2, we've got 3 now, 1, 2, 3, and we've decreased back down to 3. So that gives us a nice equal amount either side, and that actually in crochet pattern will create the beginning of your curve on your wavy line. So it will create this part here, it's coming down because you've got that increase and then a decrease, you've got that little curve. And we want to mirror that the other side. So over the next 2 stitches again we're going to do another decrease. We're going to double crochet 2 stitches together, which gives us only 1 that side. But of course now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but at the top we've only got 4, so we haven't got enough, and that makes it uneven. So in the next stitch we need to do an increase again to even out our stitches. And now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at the beginning, and then when we've worked our stitches we've still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that matches. So that means that the edges are going to be straight. They're not going to be doing this at the edge, which we don't want. So they're going to be nice and straight. So you could just stop there if you wanted to. You could just have a set of 6 stitches. And then all you need to do is times that by itself. So you can multiply that up, just repeating the same set again. So over the next 6 stitches, you would then just repeat it again, doing an increase, then a decrease over those 2, decrease over those 2, and then an increase. You just repeat it again. So it becomes a 6 times table. And in this cushion design here, all I did was multiplied that by 10. So I got a stitch count of 60. So I knew I had to start with at least 60 chains to get to this pattern. But you could have done 6 times 9 or 6 times 8, so on and so forth, or even 6 times 11 and started off with 66. But then what we need to remember is we need to remember to add on those 3 at the beginning. However many you need to start with, whether you start with the 1 if you're working single crochets, the 2nd, and so for the half double crochets, or have those extra 3 for the double crochets. So we need to add on, got those 60 chains for our actual pattern plus 3. So we would have started off with 63 chains to get this pattern. Okay, so let's put our theory into practice. So we know that our little set here is going to be 6 stitches, and I'm going to be working double crochets. So I'm going to have, if we go back to here, I'm going to have an extra 3 at the end. Okay, so I need to add on my extra 3 chains at the end, and we're going to do it, I'm going to do 6 times 3, so I'm going to do 3 of these sets. So that means I need to add on another 6, okay, and just repeat the same pattern. So there's another set, and I'm going to do that once more again. So 3, 4, 5, 6, same pattern again, like so. So we're going to do 6 times 3, because I'm going to do 3 sets, and 6 times 3 is 12, 18. Okay, and we also need to add on our extra 3 at the very beginning. So we add that on once we've worked out our multiplication, and 18 plus 3 equals 21. So I know that I need to chain 21 stitches if I'm working double crochets, because I'm going to work into my 4th stitch from hook. And these very first 3 chains here are going to count as this first double crochet here, this one here. Okay, so let's put this into practice. Let's see if my little maths works. So let's bring in our yarn. I'm just using some DK light worsted weight yarn and a 3mm crochet hook, just for this example. So I'm going to chain 21 to begin. Let's see if the maths works. 2, 3, 20, 21. Okay, so I've chained 21. Because I'm working double crochets, I'm going to be working into my 4th stitch from hook with my first double crochet. And the 4th stitch from hook, we don't count the loop on our hook. There's our first stitch, there's our second, there's our third, and there is our 4th. So we're going to yarn over, because it's in US terminology, go into that 4th stitch from hook and do a double crochet. And that's our increase already done, because we've done the 1 double crochet this side, and these 3 here make up the other double crochets. We're counting those 3 as a double crochet. So now we're going to move on to the next 2 and to do a decrease, because we need to bring the stitch count back down. So I'm going to double crochet the next 2 chains together. So I'm going to go into the next chain, bring the yarn through and yarn over, pull through the first 2, but we stop then yarn over again, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, so we've got 4 loops, yarn over, come through the first 2 again, that leaves us 3, then we yarn over and pull through all 3, and that double crochets 2 stitches together. Okay, so so far we've done that, and now we need to do a mirror version of it. So we double crochet 2 stitches together again, so to the next stitch, bring the yarn through, yarn over, pull for the first 2, then stop, yarn over again, go into the next stitch, bring the yarn through, then we pull through the first 2 again, leaves us 3 loops, yarn over, pull for all 3. So we've double crocheted the next 2 together as well, so we're up to here. So then in the next stitch we do an increase instead, so we do 2 double crochet in the next stitch. There's 1 double crochet, then we go back into the same chain, and that completes our first little wavy line, which you can't really see at the moment until you get going and you add in different colours. So I'm going to repeat that twice more, exactly the same. So I'm going to start again with an increase, so this time I do 2 double crochet in the next stitch, two double crochet, so there's 2 in there, and then we need to do a decrease, so double crochet the next 2 together, small yarn, and then we double crochet the next 2 together to mirror the beginning. That's worked over 2 stitches, and then we finish with the 2 double crochet in the next stitch. And then we've done our second set. Okay, and then we just repeat that once more. So we start again with 2 double crochet for an increase, 1 and 2. Then we do our decrease, so we double crochet 2 together, like so, double crochet 2 together again, so we're mirroring the beginning, and then that should leave you with 1 chain at the very end. We finish up with 2 double crochet, increase to bring the stitch count back up again. 1 and another one is the last stitch. So we've done 3 sets now, and as you can see we've managed to finish. We had the right amount of chains to begin with, and also you can see that the edges are straight, and we've got the same amount of stitches here that we started with. So we needed to start with 18. We're not going to count the 3 because they're going to work as a double crochet. So 18 at the bottom, and you should still have 18 at the top. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, and 18 is the top of your 3 chain because that's being counted as a double crochet. Okay, so you should still have the same stitch count that you started with. Then what we're going to do is we're going to join a new colour, and what I do is, rather than chaining and then turning and working into the second stitch, which just I think is a bit more messy, what I like to do is do a little chain 1, and instead of yarning over with the colour you're working with, I introduce the new colour. So I introduce this white and just bring that through as a chain 1 instead, and then I turn, and then I work straight into that first stitch, so I don't count this chain 1 as a stitch. And we just literally, for the second row, we just repeat exactly the same. So we start off with an increase again, so we go right into that very first stitch, with our new colour and do an increase again of 2 double crochet, which might make it feel like it's falling off the edge, but it'll all come together because the next 2 we decrease. Double crochet the next 2 together. Like so. Then we double crochet the next 2 together to do a mirror image of the beginning. It's like the other side of the curve. And then we finish up with an increase again. 1 and another one in the same stitch. Okay, and that's our first set done again. So I'm going to repeat that twice more. I'll just come back to you at the very end to show you what to do. So the next one would be going back to the increase. Coming up to the last half, and I'm just doing the last decrease, double crochet in the last 2 together, and it looks like you haven't got any more stitches, but the very last stitch is the top of those 3 chains, so we need to do our last increase of 2 double crochet in the top of those 3 chains, and it should be the only time you have to do this because we're working chain ones to turn, which means you're always working into proper stitches. This is why I don't do chains at the beginning of rows. I hate trying to find them. So there's our first double crochet, and then we go back into the top of that 3 chain and do another one. Okay, so all I've done is I've repeated exactly the same as the first row, and if I turn it back round you can see the waviness appearing, and these edges are straight, and you've got equal amount of stitches still. You've still got 18 that you're working with, that 18 there. So if you follow that principle and follow the multiplication of 6 times table, you can create something like this. It just keeps going, like so. And if you want to make the, obviously this is quite a short wave, if you want to make it longer, a longer wave, all you need to do to add the extra stitches in is you add them here, in between. And you would add just 1 stitch in between, so not an increase and not a decrease. You would add it there and you would add it here. Okay, but you could also add one here as well if you wanted to. So that would make your set go up from 6 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 instead. And you still have 9 at the top because these are just single stitches, they're not increases or decreases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's where to add the stitches. I would recommend them either here or here rather than in the middle, but you can add them in the middle. And that would create a longer curve rather than a short one. Okay, so I hope you found this tutorial useful. I hope it makes sense, and I will see you soon for some more crochet fun, and maybe even show you in my next video how to make the other side of this cushion, which is the little granny square. So if I zoom out you can see my cushion. So it's little granny squares on that side, and then on this side I did all those wavy lines following the same method that I've just shown you. Little sets of 6. Okay. Bye guys!